Okay, it's been a while since I've done a video. School got intense, so I had to kind of take a break from doing videos, and then my wife was graduating, so she had finals, and then at the same time the kids were too, so it was just kind of crazy. My last video was, I don't know how long, it's probably been a couple months, but I've still been modeling in that time, but I haven't been working on the Borg Cube or the associated fleet, so I haven't really done the videos because I've just squeezed a little bit of modeling whenever I could, just to relax and chill. So I didn't really want to do any videos because it was off subject, but it's been so long and I haven't really gotten back to the cube that I think it's about time to make a video. But as far as the Borg Cube, what I have been working on is the ambassador class conversion. The only thing I've done differently is the back supports, the nylon supports actually broke. Not an issue, they can just go right back on. Some of the wiring failed. I was trying to get in there and I broke the pylon supports. And it's easy, I have all the parts, you can go right back in there. The real issue was the lighting, because I put navs, always on navs, static navs on the sensor pylon. And then I was going to put an SMD here, and then I went back. Originally it was a fiber optic, and then I went to an SMD. I didn't really like the SMD, so I went back to the fiber optic. But I replaced the existing SMDs with these. I think these are 402s are the smallest that they sell. They're super small. Oops. They're so small that I had to put these like little window, these little can't really see them under the Bondo. These little windows that come in the 1350 refit enterprise kits. I put those in there to so that they'll have a little nub because it was just so flat. And then I bonded over what I had cut out. And then I had originally when I first did this, ran the wires across. I put the strip styrene, but it didn't look very good. So with the pre-wired SMDs, I just wrapped them around like this. And you can see where I brought them in right here. There's still a little bit more cleanup to do. And I want to try to repair the damage I did from the first attempt when I went across. And then clean that up. And that's really all that I've done as far as the Borg is concerned. I've cleaned up a lot, tested everything works except for this nav. The fiber optic broke, and the way it's run, these are fiber optics that go all the way down. There's not SMDs. I wasn't really using SMDs too much when I started this, so that's going to have a bad nav right there. But that's okay for the purpose of the fleet build. But that's it. Everything's been tested. It's still good. And then what I started to work on next was the K7. And originally I was just going to do something kind of quick. I knew there was a lot of seam work watching other people's builds. I knew there was a lot of seam work, but I was okay with that. I wanted something kind of simple and straightforward, and I always kind of like space stations to begin with. But then, I started going too far. I took off the, let me see if I can pull this out of the box, I'll show you. So on the kit, I guess you can't quite see it. It just has, this just little flat thing that comes out that's inaccurate. So I replaced it with, I still have some more Bondo to do and clean up. This is a primer coat, by the way, to show where I still have to, fix all the seams and stuff. So I replaced it with something more accurate. And, I really want to do a lot more as far as putting some other sensors or antennas here and some lights. I saw a couple of builds like that, but I decided to keep it as true as possible, so I didn't do that. Most of the seams that are bad, this kit's notorious for, are all good. I have a few spots to work on. There's a complete shuttle bay in there that's illuminated, which wasn't too hard. I thought when I started this, I wanted something simple to do, and then I started doing all this crazy stuff. But that actually wasn't too hard to do. The only thing is there's no way it's accurate in scale. My build and just about every other build I've seen, everyone builds it too big. It's not in the correct scale to this. The shuttlecraft you couldn't even really see. It would be like the lead of the pencil would be so small. And then back here, the kit just has a very similar nub as in what comes on the center. It's right there, but it's supposed to go all the way through, all the way to the top, and look more like this. So I did this in all of them, which actually took a lot of work as far as getting it nice and straight and flush and getting all the seams gone. So that's the majority of the work was. And by that point, I had definitely gone past my original goal, which was to make something simple and easy, kind of out of the box. But I liked it enough that it's okay. All the domes are illuminated. The navs are illuminated. The flashing strobes on top of the domes are all illuminated. And I've already tested all the wiring. Everything's good. When I set this aside, I did the primer. I just have to check the primer coat and fix all the little, any seam work, which is here. So that's where this is at when I set it aside. I'm working on like 4 things at once, which traditionally I don't really do. And then I decided to work on the transport tug. Oops, let's get this in there. From the old Franz Joseph. I've really never been a fan of the original series, never cared too much for it, never really watched it. But for some reason, I watched the whole series recently, which is the first time I've really ever watched it. And I don't know, it has huge drive to do some original series stuff, especially the tug. I've always liked the tug. So I worked on that. This is just a quick review of what I'm working on, not in depth in each thing. It's all illuminated. Everything is lit up with the proper navs, everything. The buzz art collector is illuminated. Even the flux chiller grills are illuminated in blue. What Gene Roddenberry wanted to do was have it lit up. The flux chiller grills, he wanted it lit up, but the budget didn't really allow him to do it. So I have it on a separate switch. It's a magnetic reed switch. I can turn it off and on. So if I want it the way we toss is supposed to be, it won't be illuminated. Then if I want it the way that it would have been allowed to, if you had the proper budget, I can turn those on too. It's got fiber optics in the front and the back for navs and everything. The only downside is when I put the epoxy in here, it killed, I don't know if it killed the bulbs or killed the connections or killed the fiber optic, but really none of the navs or none of the fiber optics that dotted the circle here really work. There's a couple that do work, but that's it. But the front works, the back works, the front's in the box somewhere. And the only thing really left with this is I was waiting for the reed switches to come in, but it's the first time using them. I don't think I bought the right ones. I want the ones where you just use the magnet and it changes either on and off, not where you have to leave the magnet there for it to be on, which is the ones I think that I had bought. So I think I have to get a different switch, and then I can button it up. I can put the front on, I can put the back on, I can put the front on, and then it just needs seam work. Nothing's really been done as far as seams. And then that's it for this. And then I started working on the Narn Fighter, and where I left off, I'm actually still working on it. It's a really simple kit. I have SMDs actually the SMDs go all the way up to the tip right here, and the wires run down so the guns can fire. They'll be on a separate switch. I did not recast the cockpit in clear because in all the episodes it's always blacked out. You can never see inside of it, so I left it like that. I'm just going to paint it black, but I did put a light right here. I don't know what you would call it, the headlights basically. And then I got navs on either side. And I think what I'm going to do is make one purple and one orange, not instead of red and green that we traditionally use. After all, this is an alien ship. And I'm still working on it, but the only thing that's left was it was really hard to find purple LEDs. It was super hard for some reason. And I finally found some in a candle, a flameless candle. And I thought they flickered. They said that they flickered, but when I bought them, they don't flicker, which is fine. I guess that's the way we're going to go. The only downside is that one seems to be brighter than the other, and I didn't notice that until I had changed it, because I integrated it into a board. So I had done everything and wired it all up, so I kind of left it. But now that I've pulled it out and I'm looking at it now, that left one there, it's supposed to be clear. I used window making kit, but it looks like it's yellowed, so I don't know if the light's even going to get through, so I may have to redo this. So I hollowed out this piece, obviously put an LED in each side. That's where this stands. Tomorrow I'll take a look at the engines. And what I've been working on pretty consistently for about a week now was I got this Ferengi Marauder kit. It's all in pieces. When I bought it, actually the front broke off, which is right here. The head broke off. And the kit was just super bad. I paid something really cheap, like 20 bucks or 10 bucks or something. It was actually from not a very good seller on eBay. But, and I don't know if he originally bought it or what. It sounded like he was a modeler, But this kit is the worst kit I've ever owned. And looking at a few other people, there's like a couple other reviews out there of it, or people that mention it. I'm pretty sure this is a macro check kit, or it might be a recast because it's so bad. And some of it I can tell is the modeler, whoever put it together. Some of it's that, but a lot of it it was just a really, really poorly made model. It's really, really bad. And I don't think I have any other models from Macro Trek. I might have like one or two, but I've never seen a kit this bad. So I don't know if it's their kit or it's a recast of the kit. But it's super bad. And my intentions are to light the kit. And what I've been doing is I've cut out, the flux chiller grills or whatever you call them. I've removed the disruptor pods. They weren't even accurate to begin with. And there's not too much pictures out there of quality that you can really base it off. Most of it's other people's builds. And then some are some garage kits and stuff like that. And there's a lot of discrepancies between what people build and what I can see on screen. But I pulled these off. I did something that's more screen accurate. This was one piece on here, and then this part looked like that was a separate piece that had broken off by the time I got it. I cut it out and made it all one piece. And I'm thinking about when I'm done with all this, there's a lot more to do. I might make a kit out of this. I have no experience in doing that, but the way because I want to light this for myself, but the way I'm removing parts and getting things ready to be lit is so that I can make pieces out of them if I chose to. If I decided to go in the route of making a kit out of this, like for instance, this is going to come out in two parts. I could have just hollowed out the front part that sticks out, but instead I cut the whole thing out and make it in two parts. The same thing. I scratch built the pods. What else? The small. Let's see. On the bottom of the kit, here's part of it right here. This is where the scout ship, or the fighter as it's called, comes out of it. And this is one solid thing. I've changed a lot of the detail and changed some more of the detail. Then I'm going to cast it in 2 or 3 parts. This way, this could be lit too. All the other parts, I want to get some photo etch for it in here, and I want to get some photo etch for in here. There's these pieces right here. Is it upside down? Which way does that go? That's right. How does that go? It goes like that on either side. I'm going to get photo etch for this too. If I make a kit, I'm going to get photo etch. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to use it for myself. I have to recast this and correct this. I've already corrected a lot of this. And there was something else. Oh, I can't show you the weapons pods, and I can't show you some of the other parts because they're already in silicone right now. The silicone's still wet, it hasn't set yet. But I'm redoing a majority of it, and because this kit is so bad, it has to have been a recast of the original. And then what I'm doing is I'm cleaning it up, and then I'm changing the details that are incorrect, which is most of them. It's the correct general shape. There are some discrepancies, like this is not the correct shape. A lot of it needs to get cleaned up, and this is why I think it's a recast. Is a lot of this detail is so shitty, and most of it. And for instance, so in here there's like a trench that runs around here, and there's all this little greebly parts in here that looks like, I don't even know what it is. It looks like someone almost like sculpted it half-ass. But I carved it all out, and I got to clean it up, and then I have some parts from a Y-wing, I think a 144 scale Y-wing, and I sliced them to the right width, and I'm going to lay them in there. And the same thing, this goes front to the head, and then on the top, hard to point a hand, it goes right here too. So what I want to do is cut out all the engines, cut out the impulse engines, I guess, the cargo bays on the front, and a few other things. So what I want to do is make sure that I altered it enough that I'm not just recasting someone else's work, that it truly is my own work. It's not really cool just to, and it's basically stealing from someone else. So I'm hoping that when I'm done with it, because my intention is to build it for myself, if I've changed enough and I feel like this is not just a recast and it's a totally different kit, then I might consider selling it as a kit. But I don't really have any experience, and I'm not really interested in making money off it. But when I bought this kit, I was so disappointed in it, and I wanted to light it up, that when I go out for a kit and I go buy one, I want a good kit that I can light. And so I would like to be able to produce this so that other people can actually buy a good kit. And the original kit I don't think is in production. I'm pretty sure it stopped being made in the late 90s. And if this is the original kit, then it's the shittiest kit I've ever seen. So I think someone just copied it and did a really poor copy. I'm spending a lot of time cleaning it up. But that's all I got now. I'll probably make another video soon, actually talking about the specifics of each thing. I just wanted to make one real quick while I had some downtime. Thanks for watching.